Beginning on October 2nd, residents of unincorporated Polk County will notice improvements in their waste and recycling services. Polk County Waste and Recycling values their customers, and they are committed to making these transitions as seamless as possible. Find out how right here. You're watching Polk Waste Wise. Hey there, welcome to Polk Waste Wise, the show where we help to inform you about all things related to your waste and recycling services. I'm your host, Dion. Every month on the show, we dive into a new topic related to your waste and recycling services, and last month we were curbside to discuss proper bulk and yard waste procedures. This month we're back in the studio to talk about the collection and disposal of your recyclable materials. If you've opted to recycle in Polk County in the past, you have no doubt become very familiar with your small yellow bins. But beginning October 2nd, you'll have a new, larger, and more effective cart for recycling and new regulations on how to dispose of your recyclable materials. Anna Wood is here with me again to break down the details behind those new regulations. Hey Anna, thanks for being here to talk with me again.
Thank you for inviting me back.
So let's start out talking about these new carts. So what was the influence on the reasoning for changing to these new carts in this new system?
The main reason was that our residents were petitioned that change to the county commissioners. There was a lot of expectations from our customers that they wanted to increase the level of the proper materials to be collected for recycling. The county commissioners being out with the residents and listening to their desires made the policy that starting in 2017, October 2nd, residents will be receiving the 65-gallon recycling card.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things that I think our residents and our customers are going to be interested in knowing and need to know is a while back they got a postcard out. We've talked about it before where they could say, yes, I want this cart. They're receiving those October 2nd if they returned those. If they hadn't returned those and they still want one, how and when can they get that cart?
The time frame for the new customers that would like to participate in the collection program for recyclable materials will be January 1st.
Okay. And how do they let you know that they want one?
They can call our office at 863-284-4319, or they can visit our website.
Great. Now, one of the biggest adjustments I think that the residents are going to have with these new carts and these new procedures is what will be accepted in the carts. There's a couple of changes coming their way. So you've got some props here, you've got some examples. Give the residents and the viewers a rundown of what they are able to put in those carts.
Yes. First of all, let's start with the rationale behind.
Okay.
Our main goal is to recycle right. And I know this is a new word in the recycling cycles, but for us in Polk County, we had that vision, or the commissioners envisioned a program that could be sustainable through the duration of the new contract, which is either 7 years or 10 years. Our main objective is to gather materials, or to collect materials that have environmental value, okay, as well as an economic value. Mm-hmm. These are the best materials that will have longevity in the process. And because we do not depend on local manufacturers or local vendors, the entire industry pretty much relies on international or external markets. We have to be always very sensitive to what goes on in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. So what is it that determines what is valuable and what is marketable for these materials? From
a standpoint of a user, somebody, the manufacturer, mm-hmm, their values are a little bit different than the resident who's putting these materials at the curb. They looking at utilization of energy. There are products such as the aluminum can, who has the most value when it comes on saving on energy when you're producing a new can from materials that have been collected at the curb and is being recycled. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the few materials that we collect that stays in the United States. Approximately 70% of the materials that are collected curbside in the United States that are aluminum stay in the United States, which means in turn that the electricity that is saved by utilizing this type of material, because it takes less heat to melt than virgin material, we are saving that in the United States. We are not shipping this to another country, and they realizing the savings, and we continue to buy it and produce it and send them the benefits to them.
So with that said, let's talk about the other materials that you guys are accepting so that everyone has a clear understanding of what's good to go?
Okay, the next material is going to be limited plastics, and I know people keep asking us what is limited plastics. Plastics, this is the type of plastic that we will be collecting, and it is the opaque type of plastic that it will be part of the program.
Okay. Now tell me, I know there's a reason behind that. What is the reason for the inclusion of that particular plastic versus other ones?
The main reason or the rationale behind that is that unlike aluminum can, not all plastics are created equal. So when they are going to be melting this plastic, they have to separate it by the type of resin that plastic is made from. Okay. And that is one of the main reasons why we are staying with the one that we know that at least from the foreseeable future is not going to be changing its chemistry.
Now we've got a couple of other types of materials here that will be accepted. Go ahead and tell me about those ones.
This is one of the type of materials that actually is increasing in households. And the reason for that is more and more people are buying online and they getting this type of boxes at home.
Okay.
Obviously, the one that I have here is pristine. There's no broken eggs or anything here.
Right.
Typically, the way the value of fiber of plastic, of paper or cardboard is that it has to be clean. Or, when I say clean, people say, "What do you mean? And do I have to wash it?" Of course not. What I mean by that is, if it's a pizza box and it has a lot of grease, that belongs in your garbage container, not in your in a new recycling cart. So we are trying to optimize it to achieve a high rate of reusing this type of materials.
And then you've got newspaper and some cans here. Go ahead and tell me about what you've got.
The newspaper is a staple in our recycling, curbside recycling programs. Unfortunately, with newspaper, as you know, it's kind of disappearing. A lot of people do not buy newspaper, and now the newspapers are thinner and thinner. And not only that, the weight of the paper is less. So now we have to collect a lot more to make it, to make it financially feasible for it. So it is a product that we still collect. I don't foresee this being part of our program maybe 10 years from today. It may be replaced by something else, but right now we do collect it. We do love it. It's a darling of the industry because it has its value.
And then you've got specific types of cans.
Yeah, this is the tin can. And this is another very good product for us. Good in the residential curbside collection of materials. Similar to the aluminum can, it has a very, the utility value is very high. Less energy to melt, many times to reuse and recycle and go through the cycle over and over again.
So there's one particular type of material that some people may have noticed that you are no longer accepting, but there's good reason behind it. That's glass. So can you elaborate for me and for the residents a little bit on what the reasons are that you will not be accepting glass?
Glass is one of those materials that have been iconic in our curbside collections systems. And that was the result of demand on the resident, not so much demand from the manufacturer or the end user. The challenges with glass, besides the very obvious that it breaks, and when the glass breaks, it contaminates, it gets embedded in the cardboard, embedded in the newspaper, but also it gets embedded in the plastic. And it devalues that material. That material may no longer be optimum for somebody to buy it and to be used and be good for the environment as well. The basic element for glass is sand, and we have an abundance of that. It makes it very challenging for a marketplace. Like in the state of Florida, we don't have places that will buy glass. So typically that material ends up in a landfill as a road base, as a secondary benefit that outweighs, the process and the benefit outweighs the cost.
Now with all of that said, it's all well and good to hear it, but we want to show a little demonstration. So we took to the field to show you exactly what can happen to your glass when you place it in your cart. Check it out.
We are at the Polk County material recovery facility to demonstrate to you what happens when glass is incorporated in the curbside collection program.
I'm going to demonstrate for you what happens to the glass once it's collected, transported, and then delivered to its final destination. Once the glass is picked up, it's put in the truck, and then the truck, in some cases, gets compacted, and then it gets brought to the materials recovery facility, where it's dumped on the ground again, then eventually loaded into a semi, and then transported to the processing facility in Tampa. If you look closely at the paper, you can see where the little pieces of the glass get stuck on the paper, making this piece of paper non-recyclable. And the same thing happens in the cardboard box. You can see the little pieces of the glass that get stuck, making the cardboard not recyclable. And the cardboard and the newspaper are the materials that we can recycle that have some value.
So with that demonstration that we just saw, I want to ask you one more question to kind of wrap things up. Some of these materials, as we've said, are being sort of devalued, so to speak, and we want to make the residents Polk Waste Wise. So tell me, how can they help with these recycling these materials properly?
What the residents can do that will have the most value to the environment is to ensure that whatever products they're putting in the recycling cart match what they see here, first of all. Mm-hmm. Second of all, that they are, like we mentioned before, clean,
right.
No grease. Yes, exactly. And you hear a lot of terminology in the industry of people saying that if you put glass or if you put all the materials, it contaminates the load. Mm-hmm. Well, the contamination factor, what that means in the industry is that it devalues the possibility for that material to be reused again, to be transformed again, be in the process to do it. So in an effort, a lot of times our residents want to be very enthusiastic about recycling. And at the end of the day, what happens is a lot of these materials that are not properly harvested or separated at home end up in the landfill, which is the least, one of the least places we want these materials, especially because our residents go through so much effort to do this. We don't want our residents, our customers, to go through all these processes to collect that material and to end up in a landfill. We want their efforts to truly, mushroom into something beautiful, coming back again into a can, into newspaper, or whatever it is.
Well, thank you so much, Anna, for being here to talk to me about this. I hope that we shed some light so that the residents have a better understanding on what's going to be accepted October 2nd.
Well, my friend, I thank you so much. I truly appreciate the time, the opportunity to share with our residents the new program and how they can help us.
Of course.
Thank you.
That's all the time that we have for today, but please feel free to send any questions that you may have to Polk Waste Wise at polk-county.net or call 863-284-4319. You can catch this episode of Polk Waste Wise on PGTV Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 1:30 and 7:30 a.m. and p.m. You can also find it at www.polk-county.net or on our Polk Government YouTube channel. Stay up to date on all things Polk County Waste and Recycling at www.polkwastewise.net. Thank you for joining us this month. We'll see you next time.